Hey VC, welcome to my channel. Tony here. Tonight we're going to talk about this record, In the Wee Small Hours, Frank Sinatra's masterpiece, Capitol Records, 1955. Considered one of the earliest concept records, but I believe Louis Armstrong had the first concept record maybe a year before this. But back in the 50s, early 50s, albums really consisted of hit singles and a few fillers and things of that nature. And when Frank insisted that this would be a cohesive collection of themes of loss, love lost, melancholy feelings, sadness, feeling depressed, feeling alone, he put this record together. He picked out he arranged the tracks after they were recorded with the great Nelson Riddle's orchestra. This is In the Wee Small Hours. You could see just by the painting, just the tone of film de noir type of look with the lamppost. The lamppost isn't in full view here, but the lampposts are down in the street. You could see the perspective there. And Sinatra's just dejected. It's a classic painting. It's been, all over different posters, different types of Sinatra memorabilia. He has the fedora on. And later on, that lamppost theme recurs with Frank and the trench coat over his back. But this is a masterpiece. It is a concept record in the truest sense because the theme is what I indicated: loneliness, a lost love, a love that said, toodaloo, the bird flew, that type of thing. He also called this personally his Ava Gardner album, his Ava record, because that's when he was on the rocks with his only true love, which was Ava Gardner. He divorced his wife, I believe Nancy, and 10 days later, he was married to Ava Gardner, and that was a rock. Two similar people. It didn't work out. For whatever reason, it didn't work out. And this record kind of reflects that. If you think about a modern record, I always go to Blood on the Tracks. There's a lot of I probably don't know, but from listening and from osmosis, I think some of Taylor Swift's records were breakup records, and this was the big breakup record. The Blue Palette, the film de noir. When you listen to this record, it is like watching a movie unfold or reading a great novel about this theme, right? And I'll go over the songs and everything. This is a reissue from Capitol, so it's an abridged version because the original record was about 50 minutes long. So this has a couple of tracks left off. I do have an original Capitol on somewhere, but I did a few videos on Frank earlier in my VC career, and I can't seem to find all my Sinatra records, so I put them somewhere. But the reason I'm talking about this is we're very fortunate that Tone Poets from Blue Note is going to be releasing In the Wee Small Hours 70th anniversary. So 1955, that's 70 years. Coming out on November 14th, available now for pre-order. And this really looks exciting. This is a record that deserves the full great treatment that the Tone Poets label does for its jazz records. And I read some things online, well, this isn't a jazz record. No, this is a jazz record. Sinatra is considered a jazz vocalist in most cases. So you could take that to the bank. Just trust me on that. Big Sinatra collector, probably have everything official that came out, even the duets on record and some other things that came out later. But in the Wee Small Hours 70th anniversary Tone Poet vinyl reissue, and this is AUDIOPHILE vinyl series, November 14th, making the album's 70th anniversary, produced for release by Joe Harley. The new Tone Poet vinyl edition was mastered by Kevin Gray from the original analog master tapes, pressed on 180-gram vinyl at Record Technology Inc., RTA, and comes packaged in a deluxe gatefold tip-on jacket featuring photo sessions, by William Claxton, Ken Veter, as well as an essay by Rita Karan. And if you look at the website on Tone Poet, they show you a beautiful gatefold. This record was not a gatefold. Back in those days, there wasn't, maybe some demo records with Tone Poet, some, record demos or, albums to test your record player, or your turntable, your system. Some of those were gatefold, but for the most part, pop records and jazz records weren't really gatefold in 1955, 56. So here we have it. This is getting its full. This is a masterpiece. It's the #1 record in the book 1001 Records You Should Hear Before You Die. This is #1. If that doesn't tell you something, if you're going by that book, 1 to 1000, you're definitely going to hear this book. Here's my copy on disc. I also have a copy, like I said, the original. This is a reissue. And this is an abridged version, so it has a few less tracks than what you're going to get in this new modern audiophile edition. And this is going to be a sweet release, because this album, this is a record that I think most adults, most men probably, and female can relate to this. Just give you the songs. In the wee small hours of the morning. Now, that was written by Dave Mann and Bill Hillard. Originally, they wrote it with Nat King Cole in mind. Somehow, Sinatra either got to them first or Nat refused it. I don't really know the details, but Nat did not record it, obviously, first. And in the wee small hours of the morning, went to Frank, and it was so mind-boggling that they actually named a record off of it, from it, and the record says it all. That first track says it all. It's just sad. It's dark. You have to listen to this music with the lights down. This is not a 2 o'clock in the afternoon record. This is a midnight to 3 in the morning, in the wee small hours. That's what this record is about. I've actually done a video, and I'm going to try to post it at the end of this video in the end screens, along with Torch albums that I did. And of course, this is considered Frank's probably his first Torch album. He did many more later because it was such a popular genre. So then we have Moon Indigo, the Duke Ellington, Irvin Mills song, Glad to Be Unhappy, Rodgers and Hart. Now these tunes are, the Songbook of America. They were all standards, except for In the Wee Small Hours. That was the new record at the time. So I'm very excited that we're going to get a Tone Poet audiophile record of this, because let's face it, it deserves it. And I'm going to talk about the master tapes that they used. Apparently, when Capitol was recording this, they recorded on 2 separate tape decks, and the one tape deck that they used, they called them phonocells, and each track, I think, was on one of those cells or tapes, and they were apparently never used. They used the other tape, the first tape, but they're both master tapes. And Joe Harley talks about that on the Hoffman site. If you go to Hoffman's site, and he says this is the first time they were being used. He says the sound is astonishing. It's, everyone says it. The sound's astonishing, but I believe it in this case. I'm going to think that Frank is going to be in that room with you, because this is so well recorded. It's such a great record. Nelson Riddle's first collaboration with Frank, which they went on to do many, many more. Obviously, they were very successful together. So then I Get Along Without You Very Well, Hoagy Carmichael, which when he starts to sing that, I Get Along With You Very Well, toward the end, he's trying to convince himself that he gets along okay without her very well, but he doesn't. That extra cigarette, that extra scotch or in Frank's case, Jack Daniels, isn't going to do the trick. Dream in a Dream, Jimmy Van Heusen, another songbook number. I See Your Face Before Me. A lot of these records were used initially on Broadway in Broadway plays. Can't We Be Friends? Sad. You break up with your girl, the girl of your dreams, and you kind of say, "Can't we be friends?" And you know that's not going to work out. But when you hear Frank express "Can't we be friends" in that tone that he's able to do it, they recorded this record after, I believe, after 12 o'clock at night to the wee hours. It's all that. Frank always recorded after hours. He thought his voice was better. You know, whatever he did during the day, had a few packs of Lucky Strikes or Camels without filters. Can't We Be Friends? When Your Lover Has Gone, typical, right? What Is This Thing Called Love? Cole Porter. Last Night When We Were Young, Arnold Arlen and Harburg. I'll Be Around, Alec Wilder. Ill Wind, another Harold Arlen. It Never Entered My Mind, Rodgers and Hart. Never Entered My Mind. Dancing on the Ceiling. You know, you think of Fred Astaire, but when you hear this one, it's Frank Sinatra. And it's that melancholy sadness that Frank was really feeling when Ava and him split. Ava was it for him. It was, as they say, the cat's meow. Dancing on the Ceiling, I'll Never Be the Same, by Gus Kahn. This Love of Mine, Sal Parker. And Frank Sinatra's got a credit for this one, which is rare, so I didn't know that before. And this has the full 16 tracks. This record, this reissue, you may have this in your collection. This is a mono reissue, but this has 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this only has 10 tracks. This is a infirmia that Capitol would even put this out. When I first had this, I said, "A bridge, what's that?" And then I was able to get an original. Now, you got to remember, my mother was a Bobby Soxer girl at the time, young girl at the time, so she saw Frank at the Paramount in New York City a number of times. I was lucky to see Frank 3 times in New York at the Garden and in New Jersey. An older Frank, I didn't see the Rat Pack, but my mom saw him in his prime when he was with Columbia Records. So for them to even release this, for, you know, like I said, there were too many tracks on the record. So we're going to get an audiophile record. Now, MoFi had the rights to these back in the day. They did a few Sinatras, like Live at the Sands, which is I have, the Christmas album, Holly Jolly Christmas or something. Frank did about 5, I believe. At least 4, maybe 5 Christmas albums. He did one with his family. That's great, with Nancy, Tina, and they call Nancy Jr. and Frank Jr. And I met Frank Jr. too at Frank's statue being built. Oh no, not the statue. I met Tina at the statue in Hoboken, but I met Frank Jr. when the post office unveiled the Frank Sinatra postage stamp. So we're finally getting a proper copy of that. And let me see if there's anything else on this site. Like I said, it's triple analog, all analog. And let me see my notes here. The collection of songs, of course, was the concept. Frank put them in order. It's like a film. It has a coherent theme that runs throughout the album. First album to pick on the 1001 records you should hear before you die. Recorded between February 8 to March 4, 55. So I was off. Was recorded 8 o'clock to past midnight. So called it the Ava album. The track sequence was by Frank and Miller. The painting is just a beautiful film noir type of thing. And the lamppost was a recurring theme. So what we're doing is we're going to get finally the treatment here. So I'm pre-ordering it. Now, we all know Tone Poet, Blue Note, quality, off the charts. You pay a little more, but you do get that quality. You're going to get a beautiful high gloss, gatefold record with photos from the session. Now, this is 101 best recordings from the Frank Sinatra catalog and the stories behind them. So really quickly, I'm just going to go over a couple that were here. Now, in the wee small hours, because this is interesting to me, hopefully it's interesting to you, this was recorded February 17, 1955 in Los Angeles. It was Studio C at the Capitol building, and that's in the basement. It's a small room because this was a record that was piano, guitar, bass, I guess, some horns, muted horns. Sinatra, the surrogate of our deepest wounds, in a definitive recording that wasn't meant to happen. Bob Hillard and David Mann had Nat King Cole in mind when they composed the tune, but the song ended up with Sinatra to become the title track on the album that many consider to be Frank's finest work. The desolate piano introduction by Bill Miller establishes a theme that Sinatra never abandons. As music critic Pete Welding noted, Ava Gardner may have left scars, but as happens so often with great artists, personal pain translates into artistic achievement. And I mentioned that earlier with my favorite Dylan, Blood on the Tracks. And there's many more. Sinatra recorded this song again on April 29, 1963 for Reprise Sinatra, which I have, and A Man and His Music. Both the Capitol and Reprise recordings were arranged by Nelson Riddle. Now, I Get Along Without You Very Well. Recorded, same day. Recorded February 17, 1955. So it's incredible. One of Sinatra's top ballad recordings, arranger Nelson added 12 violins to the session. The result is a weeping sound from the sing section that accentuates Sinatra's strong emotional reading. A sadness in Sinatra's voice makes the song even more poignant. The genesis of the song lies in an unsigned poem by Jane Brown Thompson. A university student gave a copy of the poem to Hoagie Carmichael. Before securing the rights to the poem, Carmichael composed the melody. It took Carmichael many years before he was able to locate the lyricist. On the eve of January 19, 1940, the day Dick Powell introduced the song on radio, Thompson died. Wow. Never a hit, the song was performed by Carmichael and James Russell in the movie The Las Vegas Story. Sinatra performed the song in concert in the 70s and 80s to the Riddle arrangement. A memorable performance by Sinatra was recorded at the Royal Festival Hall on November 16, 17. It is, of course, included in the laser and video of that concert. So that's just a few songs that are in this book. And I have numerous Sinatra books, so I pulled that one out. Now, I kind of had a bad day today. I went to listen to the record, but my Project Extension 10's belt broke. It just was on its last leg. It just fell apart as I'm holding it. So I have to call Music Direct on Monday and hopefully get a belt back because I want to do some reviews. I have a few albums coming that I need to talk about, and right now we're not going to do that. So I'm just going to show a couple more Torch albums. No One Cares, Frank Sinatra. This is Gordon Jenkins, which No One Cares, A Cottage for Sale, I Can't Get Started, which is a great tune. Here's another one, Point of No Return. I believe this was 62. Another Torch album. And there's the Sinatra with the lamps and it's a blue palette as well. It's got the fedora on. And I just pulled this out because I was looking through my early Capitals. Here you have an early Capitol Songs for Swingin' Lovers. And on the back it has an ad in the wee small hours. For sad romantics singing bittersweet ballads, he gently caught the mood of the wee small hours of the morning and created a best-selling record album. Now, the reason I pull this out is because that is a mistake on the cover. Sinatra was supposed to be looking toward the young lovers. It was later corrected in reissues henceforth, and that's what we have here. It's not the same painting of Frank. It's a little different. I think this one is looks like an older Frank. This was a younger Frank. The fedora was different. You can see the fedora, more modern than this fedora, maybe from the 40s or so. But there you have it, monos, and up top I have a few Sinatra hanging up. So this is a strong reissue coming out in November. We're going to get it. I'll talk about it. I can't wait. And like I said, everyone has been touched by, everyone will be able to slip into Sinatra's shoes when you hear this record. And like I said, it's a record not to be listened to at 1 o'clock in the afternoon with the sun out. It's not going to go. This is a record you get into it with a drink, or you're in a mood. It's nighttime, lights are out, fireplace is on, that type of thing. So thanks a lot. Don't forget to consider subscribing if you haven't subbed. And thank you, Tone Poets. This is going to be a great one. And any Tone Poet record is always meticulous. I put it up there with the Rhinos, Rhino High Fidelity series, that is. So we're really going to get something really cool in a few months, in the wee small hours. The full 16-track album, not this bullshit, right? 10 tracks. Man, what were they? They did that to Beach Boys. They did that to, they didn't do it to the Beatles. They changed the Beatles, but they did kind of do that to the Beatles, right? So Capitol was infamous for that, and they did it to Frank. This is probably not the only one. This may be a bridge. I don't know. Okay, keep rocking. See you later. Stay safe. Ciao.